This is now page 5. The second area of learning is the study and understanding of the body. It is necessary to know your body well. This is a matter of using your mind to examine how feelings, biases, and emotions affect various portions of body. It's necessary to understand the polarities of your body and to accept them. This repeats in a chemical, physical way the work already done upon mind and personal consciousness, right? The first training. So here, working on body is the study and understanding of body. It's necessary to know your body well. This means examining how the mind, feelings, biases, emotions affect portions of body, or how inspire or repress body activity. This is understanding the polarities of the body itself and to accept them. These are actually two different things. One is to see how the mind affects the body, how we use our body, which is a reflection of how the mind views the body, and then to see itself the polarities of the body and to accept those. The body is a creature of the mind's creation. Therefore, it has its biases. So this is the second portion of what they said in the first paragraph. Firstly, the biological bias must be completely understood, and then you need to understand and experience the opposite bias. This is a process of accepting your own body as a balanced and as a polarized entity. You then need to extend this understanding to the bodies of other people whom you meet. So this is, you see, very similar to the first training of mind. First, do the balancing by understanding and acceptance of the self, and then extend it outward to the other self. You need to extend this understanding to the bodies of other people whom you meet. The simplest example of this is an understanding that each biological male is female. Each biological female is male. Of course, this is a simple example, and in almost every case in which you're trying to understand the body polarities of yourself or others, you'll need very subtle discernment in order to fully grasp what's involved. What does this mean? Well, yes, the body itself has its biases. So we're not talking about, you see, now we're talking about the body itself, not the portion of the training that is the analysis of how the mind affects the body. Here we're just going to the body in and of itself. It has a biological basis or bias. That bias has to be understood. The bias is the body needs. Right? And Ra talked about a number of them: food, sleep, shelter, rest, touching, sexuality, and a kind of companionship, actually, that is the body's own need for other bodies. The body is a little animal, and that little animal likes other little animals, meaning I want to be close to somebody, right? Body. Don't you need somebody to love? Somebody. Body needs body. Body likes body. That's the biological bias of itself. It's very cute, right? I often think of my body as a little animal, or sometimes a hungry animal, or sometimes a sleepy or sluggish animal, whatever, or a cute little animal. And so, when I was living in the forest, I saw a lot of little animals. Really cute animals. I mean, insects, really. I came to appreciate insects much more. I mean, I saw a leaf bug that was about 2 inches long. It looked exactly like a leaf. It looked like a leaf with grasshopper legs. It was the weirdest thing. It was a leaf. It was exactly in the shape of a certain kind of leaf with little grasshopper legs. I saw little green beetles. I saw many snails, and they're very cute, but they walk into, they're really slow. So, and I saw slugs, who are basically homeless snails. The slug is exactly like what a snail looks like, except it doesn't have a shell, and it doesn't have 2 little antennae at the front. So, I could see, myself as a little forest insect in one way or another. Anyway, that's another story. So, first we understand the biological bias, the needs of the body, what it likes, what it doesn't like. Sometimes we go against that, and that's okay. as a training, but then that can cut away some attachment to body, but it also can go excessively into body bias repression. So understand and experience then the opposite bias. So the body needs sleep. The body also has some benefit from no sleep. It needs touching and companionship. It also has some benefit from solitude and no touching. This is a process of accepting your own body as a balanced as well as polarized entity. Body is an entity. It's the yellow ray activated complex, third chakra. Then extending this understanding to bodies of other people. This is understanding. So Ra talks an example of understanding each biological male as female. Each biological female is male. This is very interesting. It means that biological male body is itself a reflection and partakes of elements of the biological female. Each biological female is also a male. So this is a little deep, actually. And you also will know, if you're aware of past lives, that you've been opposite gender, of course, each of us. And, all you see in others are elements of the self, too, at the mind and the body level. So, I can look at a mother nurturing her baby, and I can know that I'm a mother, too. I can look at a person who's very angry, and I can know I am them, too. At the body level, it's basically saying, I am all those bodies too. And all those bodies are all other bodies too. It's just permutation. The elements of earth in the grain of sand are the elements of earth in a cup or in the physical body. This is, again, approaching more understanding of oneness. So, but most polarities of self and other are much more delicate or subtly understood than just gender. And so, this is just very, very surface discussion, surface level discussion of discerning the levels of the polarities of body. Next question, would the proper balancing exercises for all bodily sensations involve some sort of inactivity like meditation or contemplation? So now Don is asking about balancing exercises and how to deal with body process. This is largely incorrect, Ross says. The balancing does require a meditative state in order for the work to be done. First important point. However, balancing of sensation has to do with an analysis of the bodily sensation with a particular emphasis upon any unbalanced leaning towards love and wisdom, which can also be called positive and negative, meaning this unbalanced leaning towards love and wisdom, love or wisdom. Then whatever is lacking in the balanced sensation is, as in all balancing, allowed to come into one's awareness after the sensation is remembered and recalled in such detail as to overwhelm the senses. So, Ra just throws in, they just exponentially complexified or made complex their answer here and what they're talking about. They're talking about a practice which is advanced, which is very similar to some tantric practices, by the way, in Vajrayana Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism. Chogyan Trungpa, teacher, founder of Naropa Institute, where I was in Colorado, taught something like this. It's a very particular practice here, and they don't explain it. What it is recognizing that in attachment or to a body sensation that causes us grief, or in grievous bodily sensations, there's some kind of imbalance occurring. An imbalance towards love or wisdom, meaning pampering the body or denying the body, being attached to the body or rejecting the body. This is love, wisdom, imbalances in relation to body. They're talking about body sensations that arise from imbalanced approaches to body being balanced by a practice of recalling and bringing into awareness what's lacking in mind and body regarding the sensation. I cannot say I'm fully aware of what they're saying. I cannot say I have any deep experience with this. It's a little bit similar to the practice of taking a certain sensation and thought, feeling, sensation in body and thought, feeling in mind, and exaggerating it in mind only, so as to bring it into greater balance by accepting it as sort of unnecessary. So I had the experience once of doing meditation in the morning in San Francisco many years ago, going into anger, feeling anger arise from it. Going downtown, I had to do something at a print shop. I left my car by a meter and didn't pay because I thought I'd just be in for a short time. San Francisco parking was a nightmare sometimes. Of course, after 4 minutes coming out, I was being written a ticket for my car. I immediately flared in rage. I didn't say anything because I knew I didn't want to get into further difficulty. Took the ticket, the car, and drove away. Felt that rage and imagined torturing the man. So you see, my past life, I definitely was involved in negative action, as some wanderers were. And instead of repressing it, I basically allowed myself to go through that as a fantasy. And I imagined it in detail. And I let it spin out in the sense of unraveling the fantasy. And I got to such a point where I thought, oh, that's too much. He doesn't really deserve that. This is overkill. This is excessive. And the charge was gone. The emotional charge in the body was gone because I allowed the mental fantasy to go out to such a point, to expand to such a degree that it lost its anchor in needing to experience it. This is very strange. And Ra talks about a practice like that, where the folly of that disorganized emotional energy is recognized by allowing it and expanding it and throwing into it. To the point where it got beyond itself. And I got beyond the emotional need to have that reaction, or the mental bias of not wanting it, or wanting it. I got to the point, every emotion we have, we want. Just like every sensation we have, we want. And that's a heavy level of reflection, too. So this pain in my body, I want, or at least I've created it for my learning, or as a result of choices. So likewise, when I had that rage reaction, I wanted it. I wanted to feel that energy in the body and have those fantasies. And I didn't repress that wanting, but rather expanded it, which is similar to what they're saying, remembering and recalling in the case of sensation, to such extent, to such detail, as to overwhelm the senses. It's like, let's say I feel desire for a woman. To allow myself to feel that very strongly. At some point, if I simply sit with it, don't act, just sit with it and accept it, and go into it and go into it and let it grow and let it grow, it will puncture, it'll pop, and it'll be gone to some extent. Now, I don't know how that applies to pain in the joints, but one way, a Buddhist practice of mindfulness is to sit with the sensation and focus deeply on the sensation. Sit with that pain and go into it. Instead of saying no, no, say yes, yes. Okay, I feel pain, I feel pain, I feel pain. Come on, more. I mean, not doing anything to hurt yourself physically, but saying, welcoming, okay, let me have it, give it to me. That's a kind of surrender and welcoming, and a practice of bringing into awareness the opposite or the previously repressed in such detail, to such an extent as to overwhelm the senses. Anyway, there's actually a school of Burmese Theravadan Buddhism where they exclusively sit for hours on end. And like, let's do morning meditation. Okay, 3.5 hours. Sit. Bye-bye. Take it easy. See you later. See you at lunch. Sit down now for 3.5 hours and meditate. And they get into, of course, body sensation pain. And they actually focus on it and do certain technique to get it more. These guys are really tough. And they basically let it overwhelm them and keep sitting to such, and with such fine attention, by mindfulness attention to it, that I guess in the ideal case, or it's been proven for them, it goes away. It can actually just disappear in a moment after they've sat through the excruciatingly painful sensations. So that's a very hardcore practice, but it's similar to what they mean. All right. Let me go further, and then you can ask questions. Don asks, what do you mean by the instruction to examine sensations of the body? Ross says, you, the questioner, may perceive your body right now. It's experiencing sensations. Most of these sensations, or nearly all of them, are transient and without interest. So that's not what needs attention. However, the body is the creature of the mind. An important phrase. Certain sensations carry importance due to the charge or power which is felt by the mind upon the experience of those sensations. For instance, at this moment, one particular sensation is carrying a powerful charge, may be examined. This is a sensation of what you call discomfort, due to the cramped position of your body during this working. In balancing it, you would then need to explore the sensation, right? Welcome, accepting it, feeling it more. Why is this sensation powerful? Because it was chosen in order that you might be of service to others in energizing this contact, meaning the contact with Ra. Each sensation that leaves an aftertaste of meaning upon the mind, that leaves a taste within your memory, shall be examined. These are the kinds of sensations that we're referring to. And this is the grist for the mill, not the transient or unimportant sensations. Also, emotions. Again, this is the same training that was done in mind. Whenever there's that which leaves a taste upon the mind, an aftertaste of meaning upon the mind, a taste within your memory. So what you remember and what was meaningful to you regarding a sensation, like joint pain, or like hunger, or like desire, or like his discomfort. Those are the sensations that shall be examined. Again, also, those are the emotions and thoughts during the day that we experience that can be examined. The balancing is exploring the sensation. Why is it powerful? And this is just the most surface level discussion, because they could write a book about just the exploration of sensation. These things are very deep. Why is it powerful? Because it was chosen in order that you might be of service to others in energizing the contact. Meaning, and now it's interesting, they use the word chosen. They didn't say it was the result of. Yes, of course it's the result of Don choosing to be of service to others in doing the contact with Ra, right? Having to sit in the room for the hours of the contact with Ra, and led to body sensation of discomfort, of course. But it was chosen. So the results of our choices, the results of our choices are our choices. Meaning, you choose the results as you chose the causes. This is also subtle. Just as I choose activity, that activity is a cause. the results of that activity, naturally, are the consequences. Those consequences are the choices that are not only the results of the choices, they are choices. You chose the results of your choices. You chose the results of your causes. We choose the consequences of the choices we make. The choices we make are causes. They cause the results. Those results are our choices in choosing the causes. So that's simple enough, but it's actually subtle. So he chose those sensations. You chose the joint pain. I chose my, whatever, knee pain, or back pain, or sweat in the pylon 85 degrees room with a fan. I chose it partly, to be of service in this working. Not only that, and there's so many other things. So just the first level of consideration is the sensations that are results of activity choices of activity of body, are also choices. And in his case, he chose that discomfort, I would say, as a reflection of the degree of desire to be of service. You know, they gave their lives for this contact, and for Don literally. And in many ways, we gave our consciousness, or some portion of our being, to the experience of third density wandering, third density incarnation now as wandering, take care of the pain on earth, the pain and the sorrow of humanity, and the need of the earth for love light at transition, to be of service, and therefore basically have chosen all of that which we're experiencing now. It doesn't take it away, but it changes our attitude towards it, and that's very important. And so again, each sensation that leaves an aftertaste of meaning upon mind, leaves a taste within your memory, shall be examined. And likewise, each thought and feeling during the day that has an aftertaste of meaning that we remember, or that made impression, is suitable for analysis and consideration. So, this is not like breath meditation. This is thinking meditation. So, that's relevant. So, let me go through the last paragraph here. And so let me read the last major section of the training of body, the second half of page 6. Don asks, what are the disciplines of body having to do with the balance between love and wisdom in the use of the body in its natural functions? Also a deep, deep question. Ra says, the body complex has natural functions. Many of these have to do with the unmanifested self, the higher self, and are not normally subject to the need for balancing. But there are also natural functions which have to do with others, other selves. These include touching, loving, the sexual life, and a bodily need for others' company. Combat the type of loneliness which is a natural function of the body, as opposed to the other types of loneliness which relate more to the mind, emotions, or spirit. And another interesting point. When these natural functions are observed in the daily life, they may be examined in order that the love of self and the love of others versus the wisdom regarding the use of the natural functions may be understood. Most people have many fantasies and stray thoughts regarding body activity with others, all of which may be examined in this balancing process, meaning initiation of body. Equally to be balanced is the withdrawal from the need for these natural functions with regard to others. On the one hand, you may find an excess of love. It must then be determined whether this is an excess of love of self, love of other, or both. On the other hand, one may have an excess of wisdom. So this is pretty heavy stuff. It's well to know the body complex so that it is an ally, balanced and ready to be clearly used as a tool for each bodily function, may be used in higher and higher complexes of energy with others, leading up to the adept work, which is energy transmission in service. No matter what the behavior, the important balancing is to understand each interaction on this level with others, so that whether the balance may be love-wisdom or wisdom-love, you can see the other soul, the other being, in a balanced way, and you will then be freed for further work or service. So, this is pretty heavy. This is not examining how the biases of mind affect the body, but how the body complex itself, how we relate to others in terms of bias of love or wisdom regarding use of these natural functions of body. So many of them have to do with the unmanifested self, which really also means the programming of body, and are not subject to the need for balancing. Most of that is actually the body's homeostatic mechanism of cellular and organ coordination. Cellular function and organs coordination. They just do their own thing. But then there are others that have to do with others, including touching, loving, sexual life, and bodily need for company. So the body needs company. There's also then the loneliness, which relates to mind, emotions, or spirit. And each of those is a little different, actually. There's emotional loneliness, intellectual loneliness, and spiritual loneliness. Hey, and as wanderers, we probably experience all three of them, perhaps daily. So that's part of what we chose, that loneliness, which is another interesting point. And Ra's talking about observing the natural functions of body and in relations with others, right? Which could be sexuality, which could be company, keeping company, including, just having a relationship with them, being in their company sometimes. To what extent is there excess of love or wisdom, and is it love of self or love of other? And so there's the balancing of love and wisdom and the understanding of what kind of love it is. So we can be with somebody because we're totally attached to them emotionally. That's a greater love of other. And maybe we're with them so much for sexually, or time spent, that we get out of balance. That's excess of love of self, excess of love of other, and deficiency in wisdom regarding what our body needs. Again, that's just a very kind of simple example. Ra talks about fantasies and stray thoughts regarding body activity with others, meaning body interaction, physical being with others. Fantasies and stray thoughts, not only sexuality, but other forms, companionship mainly, which may be examined in that balancing process. And then also needs to be balanced is withdrawal from the need for the natural functions. So that withdrawal is necessary, the need to not be with others or engage with others in any way. And again, there could be excess love of self or love of others, right? We may be cutting that person out of our life because we have excess self-love. Oh, I just don't want to deal with him. Oh, he's just a pain in the ass. That may be excess love of self. That may be deficient wisdom, which they usually go together. When there's excess love, there's deficient wisdom. There's excess wisdom, there's deficient love. And therefore, it might be better to set aside or not follow that excess self-love and cut them away, but relate to them more honestly, or let it ride a little bit and try to be of service to them or balance ourselves more in the engagement. On the other hand, there's the need for disengagement. So the point of all of this is to know the body as it is, its biases, its needs, to take care of those natural functions in a balanced way, to examine when there's troubling sensation in the body, to be able to explore how we chose it or what causes are there to those sensations and how we chose those causes. where we didn't take care of our body well enough, or we worked ourselves too hard, or we didn't take care of the body by exercise, or we rejected use of the body, and that led to body problems, right? Use it or lose it. We didn't use it enough, or we indulged, or we said, I don't care, fuck it, I'm not going to do this or do that. And then things degenerated. This is, again, related to body sensation, whatever has a powerful charge. And then there's the body engagement with others, which may be excess of loving them, or narcissism, loving self. They may be excess of wisdom in withdrawal, or a more controlled way of being with people physically, which itself is excess wisdom over love, and not so balanced either. So the point of all of that is to know the body well, and to make the body your friend, your ally, your horse, your steady, companion and helper, ready to be used as a tool with bodily functions and engagement with others, used in higher and higher complexes of energy. But you see, in the end, there's not everybody that we can or should spend a lot of time with, because you can't use your body, even just companionship or conversation, in higher and higher complexes with others if they're actively harmful, or if they're obstructive, or if they're abusive, or if they're, indifferent to their own self-reflection or deeper engagement. So it's not that everybody should be your companion. But the point is, no matter what the behavior, the important balancing is understanding each interaction on this level with others, on the body level, so that whether it's a balance of love and love over wisdom, or wisdom over love, we can see them in a balanced way, of course, and see ourselves in a balanced way, and accept them and us in a balanced way, and consider the most balanced and harmonious interaction, which in some cases may be termination of the relationship, to be freed for further work, further service, and further progression. So this is an approach to, I don't think there's any, I don't think there's any other teaching like this on the planet. And this is so far beyond just telling people what they should do in terms of body practices, in terms of fasting or Tai Chi or something like that. Those may be useful, but this is explaining the consciousness working. That is the essence of body practice. Okay, so thank you, everybody. I think that, we're building a deep understanding of approach to mind and body, and soon spirit, an approach to what balancing really means. And that's why this PDF is called Healing and Balance. Balance is essential, and it's a balance of love and wisdom, and it's a balance of understanding and knowing. And it begins with acceptance and welcoming and offering our attention to the elements of our experience. And it goes on and on and on, and it goes ever deeper. So thank you, everybody, for being with us, and we'll be here same time, same channel next week. And have a great evening, everybody, and thank you again. Take care. Good night.